right, what is up, everybody? The Marvel set is out, and we are playing some red white land destruction. This Marvel set gave us two new cards for this archetype that was already pretty strong before the Marvel set, and we have gotten one card that's just absolutely insane, and one card that I think is good but requires further testing. So let's go ahead and get into the deck list. It's been a while since we've played this list, so let's go ahead and go over the entire list. We are a red-white land destruction deck, and we are looking to run our opponent out of basic lands and then use cards like Cleansing Wildfire and Price of Freedom that just say 2 mana, destroy target land, and draw a card. The way we are getting our opponents out of basic lands is just by casting Cleansing Wildfire. We have a road to destroy creatures and planeswalkers. And we have our package of 4 Field of Ruins and 4 Demolition Fields to go after our opponent's non-basics. We have Sunken Citadel to power up our Demolition Fields and our Field of Ruins. And then the rest of the deck is just removal. We have flashbacks to recast our Cleansing Wildfires and our Price of Freedoms. We have Legend of Roku to grind. We have Magmatic Hellkite to also go after our opponent's lands. And now for the new cards from Marvel, we have first Avengers Disassembled. So this is the big upgrade. Avengers Disassembled is a sorcery. It says choose one or both. Avengers Disassembled deals 3 damage to each creature. And the second mode is destroy target land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped. So it goes with our plan of casting Cleansing Wildfire, Price of Freedom, and our Field of Ruin effects. And it also doubles as a 3 mana, 3 damage sweeper. So against Badger Mole Cub decks, against green-white Collected Company, against mono-red, against anything that's playing creatures, we just have a 3 mana board wipe that also goes after our opponent's lands. We also have Fin Fang Foom. He is a 3/5 dragon that says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets an artifact or land, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy and put 2 1/1 counters on it, so we get to double up our Cleansing Wildfires, Price of Freedoms, or our Avengers Disassembled. What's up, Badfish? Oh, I didn't realize Disassembled was a card in that. I had remembered reading it during spoiler season, but the thing that I didn't realize that I think makes this card so insane is it is choose one or both. So on turn 3, we can just wipe the board and go after a land. This card has been absolutely insane in testing. And so as far as cuts, we cut the... Oh, I'm blanking. The 3 mana enchantment that makes a 2/2 goblin, Fable the Mirrorbreaker. And we're down 1 Legend of Roku for these cards. And yeah, it is an easy one to gloss over as just another red 3 mana, do 3 damage to each creature. And so yeah, we're down to 3 Legend of Roku. We were a little bit heavy on the 4 drops, adding the 4 Fin Fang Foom. So that is where the main deck is at. One other thing I wanted to shout out, we are playing 1 Cascading Cataracts today. I wanted this in the deck as a potential to draw into it. If we're against decks that have a lot of basics, we can then target it with our Cleansing Wildfires. We can't target it with Price of Freedom, but as a way to ramp ourselves and still draw a card if we're against like Mono Green Devotion that has like 15 basics. So we'll probably never get them out of lands. This has an interesting synergy with Sunken Citadel that we can power up the Cascading Cataracts with the Sunken Citadel. it doesn't produce any mana. Or if we have two Sunken Citadels, we are one mana positive. One Sunken Citadel is an even amount of mana. I don't expect that to come up too often, but just to note that it's there. No big changes to the sideboard. The one thing I wanted to note is we did move Ultima into the sideboard. I think this card is still good enough. It's won us a lot of games on its own that I didn't want to cut it completely. So Ultima's in the sideboard, and the rest is just Light of Hopes for Unholy Annex, Alpine Moon, because there's still been a ton of Lotus Field decks around. Rest in Peace. I think this is one of the strongest sideboard cards. I think if you're in white and can reasonably play it, you want to be on Rest in Peace. This card just solos a lot of decks in Pioneer right now. And Beza for any aggressive decks. And that is the deck list. Let's go ahead and hop into some matches. All right, we are against Tim, and we are on the play in game number 1 on the play, but we are going to mulligan a hand with no colored mana. And we'll go ahead and keep this, and we will send back the no companion from our opponent. Let's send back the... it's either Fiery Impulse or Cascading Cataracts. Let's send back the Cascading Cataracts. Now, let's be a little bit risky. Let's send back the Fiery Impulse, and this gives us a turn 3 Legend of Roku. So we play Quarry Mountain Monastery tapped. Haven't played much Marvel, lucked out, and got a bunch of the dual lands considering putting... Okay, opponent has a turn 1 Thoughtseize, so our dreams of a turn 3 Legend of Roku have gone away. We draw Price of Freedom. Yeah, we will just start going after our opponent's lands here. Got a bunch of the dual lands, considering putting together an Esper or Mardu control list with them. Do you think the new dual lands are playable in Pioneer? Okay, opponent plays a Satyr Wayfinder, so this is Abzan Greasefang. All right, opponent mills a Greasefang and a Chariot. All right, so this turn we don't have a way to leave up any interaction for a Greasefang. They didn't get it. They just got a Takenuma. Well, we will hope that they're just on 1 basic and go after the black source. Notably with these, you do want to go after the basics if it makes sense, because Demolition Field can't hit basics. All right, do they have... Oh, they just play Temple Garden tapped and pass. Okay, so this turn we can Demolition Field, Temple Garden, get a basic mountain, and then Cleansing Wildfire Plains. Yeah, so let's go after Temple Garden. They likely don't have a Greasefang in hand because they would have just slammed it with Takenuma last turn. Okay, opponent does have a basic forest. Grab basic mountain. Let's play Cascading Cataracts and go Cleansing Wildfire on basic plains. Cut them off of white. See if they're on another... Okay, they are out of basic lands. So we need to survive 1 turn. They can't play a Greasefang this turn, so our odds of surviving are high. All right, we find an Erode. That probably is wrapping this one up. Let's go Field of Ruin on Takenuma. Get a basic mountain and then flashback Cleansing Wildfire. So go after Takenuma. Man, this deck can just be so mean sometimes. All right, they float a black. Grab basic mountain. Go to second main. Flashback on Price of Freedom. And go after their forest. Opponent concedes. Let's go. Oh man, this deck can be really mean sometimes. All right, I think they are playable, not bad in general. Easy enough to have basics. Just seeing more Ponza players lately. That should them not counting Shocklands is pretty bad for their playability, in my opinion. I they're probably better than Pathways if you're in a two-color deck with a lot of basics, but they're just worse than Verges. And especially worse than Verges if the Verge is your main color. Yeah, I'm not sure. They're in the conversation, but okay, sideboarding here for Greasefang. Rest in Pieces in. Whenever we bring Rest in Pieces in, we are going to cut the flashbacks. For our last cut, we're against the Abzan version. So let's bring in one Ultima. We could just leave in a flashback. Now let's bring in one Ultima. It's closer. So our opponent is on 3 basics. Just need to survive the fast combo from them. All right, and we have a Rest in Peace, so this protects us from the Greasefang combo. We have a Fiery Impulse, a little bit of tension here with the Fiery Impulse plus Rest in Peace, but we do dodge a turn 1 Thoughtseize. All right, let's go Sunken Citadel on red. Opponent has a Satyr Wayfinder. They bring back a Blooming Marsh. And let's go Plains and let's just cast this Rest in Peace. Notably, they have played a basic forest 4 turns, so they are down to... Oh, and they milled their swamp, so they only have 1 basic left in the deck. A little bit unlucky for them. Opponent takes our Magmatic Hellkite and plays a Professor of Symbiology. They probably... Okay, they have a way to get our Rest in Peace off the battlefield. This turn, let's play a Demolition Field. Demolition Field the... So they can get a basic Plains. Their swamp is gone, so let's go after the black mana. Demolition Field the Blooming Marsh. Get a mountain off of this, and then Price of Freedom. Yep, get a mountain and Price of Freedom. Let's go after Forest to cut them off of green mana. Assuming they have another green source in their hand, but if they don't, then they can't cast this Origin of Metal Bending either. Came to... All right, let's just cast a Legend of Roku this turn. Came to the same conclusion on Better Than Pathways in both cases, but having lands like Shattered Sanctum can help. I think it's doable with 8 basics. Yeah, I think I agree. Okay, an opponent just concedes. We were going to erode, and they didn't really have a way to beat this Legend of Roku. Okay, we are on the play here. We have removal. We have a Cleansing Wildfire. Let's keep the... Oh, okay. This is a slow land, but... All right, basic Plains Springleaf Drum. Oh, what's going on here? Let's play this Plains and go after their basic Plains. That match went like my Delver ones. Yeah. The Greasefang deck is a little bit prone to just drawing the wrong half of the deck sometimes, and looks like that happened there. All right, opponent does have the Starfield Shepherd. Kind of cool little synergy here with Warp plus Springleaf Drum. Oh yeah, now they get to tap the Shepherd, get a Nurturing. All right, opponent's comboing. Right, we have double white, so we will name red with this Sunken Citadel. And let's go after Hollowed Fountain here. Potentially could leave up a road. Actually, let's leave up removal this turn. Oh, Multiversal Passage does turn them on. Okay, that makes them a lot better, I think. If the Multiversal Passage does let them tap for both mana. All right, opponent replays the Starfield Shepherd, so we'll let that resolve. Are they going to do if they do the same thing, get Nurturing Pixie, we will... Okay, they get a Momo. They cast the Momo. And do they have another... Okay, and they warp the Starfield Shepherd. So let's erode Starfield Shepherd. No, let's Fiery Impulse the Starfield Shepherd. And then untap and Avengers disassembled the Hollowed Fountain. All right, Starfield Shepherd dealt with. All right, we draw Field of Ruin. So we actually have a cool line here where we can Field of Ruin, Hollowed Fountain. Hopefully we're not letting them get a blue. So okay, just another Plains. And now we can Avengers disassembled, go after Plains and wipe the board. This card has felt crazy just in situations like this. All right, they do have a counter spell. Detect Intrusion. Ah, they just hard cast it. All right. So we did let them hard cast this by going after the Hollowed Fountain first. All right, opponent has a Quantum Riddler. Do they have a way to blink it? Opponent has a Portable Hole that they just play. And a Giant Killer. Okay. Quantum Riddler goes away. But opponent had a very good turn there. Okay, we draw another Avengers Disassembled. Yeah, they're tapped out. Let's wipe the board. Get this Momo off the battlefield. Yep. Destroy both here. Leave up Erode. 3 Multiversal on top of 5 to 6 basics. Fetchable with Fabled Passage. Okay, opponent is out of basics, so they're on 4 planes. It's good to note. All right, they hard cast the Halaya. Okay, yeah, fetchable Field of Ruin, of course. All right, go to end step. Oh, whoops. Let our opponent have a card there. Oh. Oh, sorry, no, they didn't gain 3 or more life, so they don't get a card. All right, play this Quarry Mountain Monastery. Let's play Fing Fang Foom. See if he survives a turn. If he survives for a turn and we get to double Price of Freedom, we should be wrapping this one up. But I'm going to assume that our opponent has some amount of interaction. Doable control mana to combat all the land. Yeah, if you're trying to beat this deck, playing really any more than 5 basics is the line where it starts to get like too much. All right, opponent has a Quantum Riddler. We find an Avengers Disassembled, so we can... When does this trigger? Whenever that targets an artifact or okay, so this survives the double Avengers disassembled. So let's do but wow, this is just crazy. Go after Seachrome Coast and go after Mistgate Pathway. Yeah, this feels intentional that Fing Fang Foom lives after copying an Avengers disassemble. Oh my gosh, and now we get to let's go. Double price of Freedom the Plains. Opponent concedes. Fing Fang Foom is crazy. What a turn from us there. Blow up 4 lands, kill your Quantum Riddler. Oh, that was nuts. I'm also convinced that fairies will either be amazing or horrendous after playing Delver a bunch. Just the Demir fairies. I think the tempo is a pretty underexplored archetype in Pioneer. There was a while there that like mono blue tempo was just one of the best decks. The pieces are there for it. All right, we are against blue-white self-bounce. Don't really need Rest in Peace. We can bring in the 1 Seam Rip. And Ultima's pretty slow. Let's bring in a Beza. A lot of their stuff does... Nah, their stuff flies. So Beza doesn't clog up the board very well. Yeah, I think it's just 1 Seam Rip for 1 Legend of Roku. Legend of Roku is very clunky. Yeah. Let's go 1 Seam Rip for 1 Legend of Roku. Click Submit. And our opponent is on 4 basic planes, so a little bit annoying to get through, but still doable. All right, we're keeping this. We have 2 pieces of interaction for early creatures and 2 Cleansing Wildfire / Price of Freedoms. Notably, we do have to play this Sundown Pass tapped. And Cascading Cataracts is doing nothing in this hand. Okay, we draw a basic mountain. Let's just cast this Fiery Impulse before our opponent can get a draw and discard off. Tempo is really strong. Even still, it seems a little bit clunky. Yeah, I think the biggest problem with... Yeah, Fairies mono blue is... They do struggle to close out the game just a little bit. All right, let's go Cleansing Wild or Price of Freedom on Seachrome Coast. Like the interaction is good enough, but the tempo decks in Pioneer, they can have trouble actually closing the game out fast enough. All right, opponent plays a... What is this? Halaya, and... All right, they get to kind of pop off here. They have a Mox Amber and then a Daydream to get another card. And notably, this is a 4... What is this? The Daydream put a 1/1 counter on it. So we cannot... Yeah. I also want Cryptic Command in Pioneer. This turn, there's no way for us to get Helaya off the battlefield. So we are going to take a turn off, let them have Helaya. I don't love it, but let's play Sunken Citadel on white and just cast a Cleansing Wildfire on, sure, Hollowed Fountain. See if they have a counterspell here. Looks like they do. They're thinking quite a bit about this. Okay, they let it resolve. This does cut. They're choked on blue mana. We are drawing a lot of demolition fields into their basics. Let's see if they go with a flashback onto Daydream. They don't. They have a Starfield Shepherd. Notably, they cannot. Oh no, they can cast the Daydream this turn off of the Mox Amber. They get a Nurturing Pixie, so they just play the Pixie to get the Starfield Shepherd back. They have gained 3 life this turn, so they get to draw a card. Build something around Talion. I think playing it more like a Hate Bears could be a bit more relevant. Yeah, I assume with Talion, the best thing to name is still 2 to draw the most cards. All right. This turn, man, I still don't love where we're at. We can play a land. We can't Demolition Field plus Magmatic Hellkite this turn. So let's go Demolition Field plus leave up Fiery Impulse. Alternatively, we could Demolition Field. Now let's go Demolition Field, Flashback, Cleansing Wildfire. So Demolition Field the Otawara. 2 or 1 depending on the deck. Okay, that's, yeah, against like mono red, 1 would be very good. Can we get basic planes here? Yes, because then we play this and we have 2 red. Okay, get basic planes. Play Sundown Pass. Go to second main. Get rid of this blue mana that's in their pool. Yeah, we are going to let them play this Starfield Shepherd again, but they're out of basics now. Yep, let's flashback this Price of Freedom and pass the turn. Okay, yep, they're out of lands. They're going to be able to draw some cards this turn. I'm wondering if Ultima is worth it to bring in this matchup. We're not out of this yet. We have a decent turn of... Actually, right now we can't play Magmatic Hellkite plus... leave up Fiery Impulse next turn. All right, opponent is doing... Okay, they bring back their Halaya, which puts it to 3 toughness, which means an Avengers Disassemble does kill it now. An opponent concedes? Just didn't find any lands? Okay. On the play here, and we are against Nebulator. If I remember correctly, this is the guy that is usually on Jund Creativity. We've played against them a few times. So let's see if they're on Jund Creativity again. Our hand here is a little bit slow. We'd like to draw a sorcery that goes after lands to power up this Fing Fang Foam. All right. Is this Jund? Okay, no. Opponent is on Dimir Aggro. So let's just play Demolition Field, and let's Fiery Impulse now. Play around Ninjutsu and a counterspell. Plays around second Fairy Miscreant. Okay, opponent has a Mutavault. We find an Avengers Disassembled. That's going to be good in this matchup, I assume. Yeah, is it Fairies? Or could be the Dimir, just the standard Dimir aggro. list, we will see. And let's just pass, leave up Demolition Field. Do they have the... All right, they have the Flood Pit Drowner. So let's go Demolition Field on Mutavault. Opponent gets a basic island. We will get a basic plains. And let's pass the turn. All right, opponent has the ninjutsu. Is this the one that has hexproof when it enters? Yes, okay. So opponent gets to draw a card, but we get to untap and... Man, I want to get Fing Fang Foom down, but... Yeah, Not fair, just the boring option, standard Dimir aggro. Let's go Erode Kaito. Do they have another basic? Let's do a basic check real quick before we pass. All right. Dimir aggro. Opponent is on 2 islands and 1 swamp. So let's leave up this flashback. Flashback on Erode, whatever they play this turn. All right, opponent plays a Verge. And just passes. Okay, we draw a Field of Ruin. Let's just pass again. We are very close to beginning to strip mine our opponent. So let's go flashback on Erode. Erode Flood Pitch Drowner. They'll get their basic swamp here. Oh, they have their basic swamp in hand. They have another Flood Pitch Drowner. Don't love that. But there is not anything we can do about it right now. Opponent casts a Thoughtseize. Nothing we can do about that. Opponent takes the Avengers Disassembled. Do they have second Kaito? They have second Kaito. Oh no, just a Moon Circuit Hacker. Okay. They get to draw a card. And they'll probably play, okay, Watery Grave plus a Shield. Ew. That's gross. All right, grab a basic mountain. We untap. Take 2 from Shieldred and play Fing Fang Foom. We can... Oh no, this has Death Touch, right? So we can block the Moon Circuit Hacker. Opponent just replays the Flood Pitch Drowner. We take 6. Yeah, we need to top deck something here. A second Avengers Disassembled is our best draw. Second Avengers Disassembled wins this game. Just a Demolition Field. We lose 2 and we play second Fing Fang Foom. We chump block Shieldred and then die to the Flood Pit Drowners. All right, we are dead. Very well-timed Thoughtseize for them to get that Avengers Disassembled. All right, let's bring Ultimas in and bring our Seam Rip in. And let's go... What are we cutting here? Fing Fang Foom is a little bit slow. So let's cut 1. And actually, maybe Ultima. Ultima's good against Shieldred. Let's go 1 Ultima for 1 Legend of Roku and see how that goes. Our opponent being on only 2 or 3 basics, I think we're fine. All right, this hand, we would love to draw a Price of Freedom or a Cleansing Wildfire at some point in this matchup. Opponent has a Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize away. Take Fiery Impulse. All right, we draw Fing Fang Foom. Play Mountain, pass the turn. Opponent passes, leaving up a Flood Pitch Drowner. Are we drawing Avengers Disassembled? Let's just pass again. There is the Flood Pit Drowner, and we are going to Fiery Impulse the Flood Pit Drowner. We don't want to fall behind a Kaito. Opponent plays an Urborg and has another Thoughtseize. Probably going to take the Avengers Disassembled here. Yep, they take the Avengers Disassembled. Okay, that's a great top deck. Let's get this Magmatic Hellkite down. Go after a Dark Slick Shores. All right, you can... They have another Flood Pits Drowner. Do they have a land to play Kaito? They have a land, so we are getting Kaito'd this turn. Very strong draw from our opponent. Double Thoughtseize, double Drowner into a Kaito. Opponent's thinking. They surveil a Thoughtseize into the graveyard. Okay, we draw Flashback. So all we have is an Avengers Disassembled. Notably, we can't attack this Kaito this turn because of the stun counter. So let's play Fin Fang Foom and just pass the turn. This lets us... Sorry, what are the options in here? Get an emblem. So if they want to... Not even plussing doesn't let them attack into the Fin Fang Foom. Where is... Oh, there's a third ability. Okay. Play Field of Ruin. Attack Kaito. Opponent has a Go for the Throat. Magmatic Hellkite is down. Let's see if they have another piece of... Oh. We're a little stuck on red mana. Okay. Field of Ruin. Watery Grave. Doesn't matter. They have the Urborg out. Field of Ruin, Watery Grave. Yeah, we're... Okay, opponent has a Flood Pit Drowner. Resolves. Man, Fin Fang Foom is just not ever getting to attack this game. All right. Take a mountain and pass the turn. We are getting hit with Kaito again. Opponent draws a card. Would love for them to just cast a Shieldred and tap out. Opponent is reading Cascading Cataracts. That doesn't do anything. All right, opponent casts a Shieldred. Come on, just play another 2-drop. Any 2-drop. They don't cast a 2-drop. Well, we are firing off Avengers Disassembled. If they have a counter spell, then they have a counter spell. And target Verge. plus Urborg. Okay, they get rid of the Fin Fang Foom. We kill Shieldred. They still have an active Kaito. Yeah, we need an Erode this turn. But our opponent having double Thoughtseize, double Drowner into the Kaito. Hard for any Pioneer deck to beat that, I think. Yeah, we just draw another Demolition Field. So this does let us, right, 1, 2, yeah. So we can go after, doesn't really matter here, Dark Slick Shores. Get basic planes, play a Magmatic Hellkite. Go after Universal Passage. Does our opponent have third Flood Pit Drowner? No third Flood Pit Drowner. They can minus this Kaito again. Oh no, they plus up. Well, that is potentially good news for us. We can block this turn. All right, opponent has a Moon Circuit Hacker. And they're just passing. All right, we get one more draw to hit a... Well, we had a draw to hit an Erode. We don't get it. We play Demolition Field. But we are just dead on board. This is a 4-4 now. Yep. All right, we are dead. Slide into streams. All right, we are on the play here. We are against either blue-white or Niv-to-Light. Having Erode, Price of Freedom, and double Demolition Field should theoretically be good in this matchup. All right, opponent is on a mulligan to 6. And we'll play a Plains and pass. The Niv-to-Light decks have been on like 5 basics lately. All right. Oh, okay. This is the Dimir 80 card pile. We got absolutely obliterated by this deck the last time we played against it. But we were on something else. We need to do a basic check. They are a Yorion deck, so that means they're probably on more basics, which is not great for us. All right, finding a Sunken Citadel to go with these Demolition Fields is really nice. All right, opponent passes. Yep, we don't have anything to do this turn besides play Sunken Citadel on red and pass the turn. Wow, this deck does not... Oh no, here it is. Barely shows up on Goldfish. Opponent gets Yorion into their hand. Okay, so we play a Demolition Field. Let's play Magmatic Hellkite this turn while they're tapped out. And next turn we can Demolition Field plus Magmatic Hellkite. So this is a little bit more mana efficient. And yeah, our fears are true here. Our opponent is likely on 7 islands and 2 swamps. Whoa. Returning Magmatic Hellkite to the hand is certainly a choice. All right, Demolition Field, Pathway. Get a Mountain. Yep, our opponent is on a ton of basics, though. So going to be hard for us to run them out of basics this game. Get this last Pathway. We are now out of targets for Field of Ruin and Magmatic Hellkite. All right, opponent gets an island tapped. Would love to draw a Price of Freedom to go with this Fin Fang Foom. All right, opponent plays a Fear of Isolation and then replays the Hopeless Nightmare. Okay, no, just a Fatal Push onto Magmatic Hellkite. Plays a Murkwater Pathway and a Hopeless Nightmare. Let's just discard Field of Ruin. Okay, Quarry Mountain Monastery is very good here. This should let us grind out this Dimir deck. Get rid of their pathway. They'll get another island. Yeah, then we'll play this Quarry Mountain Monastery, and this should help us get out from underneath all of their discard effects. Wow, opponent is on third swamp. Yeah, a little bit brutal to be playing against the Dimir deck that is on like 10 basics. All right, opponent plays Yorion. Bounces these two, gets back the Hopeless Nightmare. We are out of cards in hand. We actually might just be... Yeah, we hit a Plains. No attacks. This card doing the 2 damage in addition to the discard is a little bit crazy. All right, Grim Bauble. That's fine. Magmatic Hellkite is small. They have another Fear of Isolation. They have a Meat Hook Massacre to kill their Fear of Isolation. All right. Kill Yorion. Lose another life. We are at 10. Okay, we top deck a Legend of Roku. Going after the Shipwreck Marsh probably doesn't matter here. There's no way that we're tapping Quarry Mountain Monastery. So let's tap these. Okay, we find a Cleansing Wildfire. We can start going after their basics with this. Play Sundown Pass. Play Cleansing Wildfire on Swamp. Yeah, this... Every deck that I play seems to have a horrible matchup into this deck. All right, we draw Sunken Citadel for turn. That's good eventually. Opponent Thoughtseizes nothing. All right, we just draw another land. Play this Sundown Pass. Activate Quarry Mountain Monastery. Another Magmatic Hellkite would be nice. Okay, just a Price of Freedom. Go after this Shipwreck Marsh. We are getting... Okay, we have no more basics left in our deck. And we are going to target their swamps here. I think black mana is more important to them. So they can start doing some surveilling. Potentially could have waited on the demolition field to mess up surveils. All right, opponent floats a black. Gets another swamp. I believe we're out. Yeah, we're out of basics. Pass a turn. Or not pass. Go to our second main. All right, opponent surveils 2. Mills 2 lands. Don't love that. But yeah, let's go after a swamp. Pass the turn. I do like getting this Hopeless Nightmare. Okay, we draw on a road. All right, opponent surveils 2. Or this is a scry. Oh, okay. Opponent is out of basics. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, man. We can't destroy this, right? Yeah, this is very good top deck from our opponent here. Gets of this town ain't big enough. We untap. Okay, we draw Fin Fang Foom. Legend of Roku flips. Let's activate. Opponent concedes? How are they conceding right there? Okay. What? We'll take it, but that was kind of a crazy concession. All right, against this Dimir discard deck, let's go Light of Hopes in. Do we want Rest in Peace? They don't have that much recursion. I don't think. Well, Beza to gain life so we don't die and give us another threat is good. Because we have a lot of cuts here. The Fiery Impulses are out. The Lightning Helix is out. And let's go maybe just 2 Bezas. Maybe it's 2 Light of Hopes. I hate discarding a card and then targeting their Nightmare with a Light of Hope, but it stops them from looping it, so we'll see how it ends up playing out. We are on the draw here in game number 2. I do wonder if being on the draw is not the worst against this discard deck. Kind of same process as 8-Rack in Modern. All right, opponent has a basic island. That is 1 of 6. All right, we have basic mountain. We have a sundown pass. So we will name. Now let's name red. Notably, we don't have Ultima in our deck anymore, so double white is a lot less important than it used to be. On old versions of this deck, you really had to pay attention to getting double white. Now that our sweeper is a red-based sweeper, that's a lot less important now. So our opponent is already in the tank. All right, they play another basic swamp. That is good news for us. It does mean this demolition field isn't targeting anything this turn, but we can just start with a Cleansing Wildfire on swamp. Cleansing Wildfire is getting negated. That's fine. We just have a nice curve here of target their land. This turn we can cast an Avengers Disassembled. All right, they get in for 1. And we draw a Beza for turn. Let's just go Avengers Disassembled on Swamp and get this Otter off the battlefield. Opponent has a Mystical Dispute, but we're fine trading 1 for 1 for all of these. Would kind of like them to tap out with this Field of Ruin. All right, opponent casts a Go Blank. Beza is an easy discard, and Flashback is an easy discard since our graveyard will be exiled. And now, okay, we take 2. But again, we can now play our own Demolition Field, cast a Magmatic Hellkite, get their Field of Ruin off the battlefield, and put a stun counter on the basic that enters. So we are tempoing them a little bit. Opponent has another base. Wow, we're getting pretty lucky with them drawing a lot of their basics. Gonna make our job of running them out of basics a lot easier. Notably, we don't have a target for Demolition Field right now. Let's go tap this, Price of Freedom, Swamp. Swamp is down, but they have at least 2 more swamps. Yep, they get a swamp. We draw a Demolition Field for turn, play Demolition Field, and sure, we'll get in for 4. See if our opponent plays a non-basic here. Nice. Opponent plays a Temple of Deceit, gives us a target for our Demolition Field. Scries to the bottom, and we do have a nice line here if they decide to level up Storm Chaser. All right, they go with a This Town Ain't Big Enough, targeting Storm Chasers plus Cryogen Relics. So let's go after Temple of Deceit. Blow up Temple of Deceit. I believe they have 1 more swamp in their deck and an unknown amount of islands in their deck. We're going to get a basic Plains here and then blow up the Storm Chaser's talent in response. All right, opponent gets what I believe to be their last swamp. And let's destroy Storm Chaser's talent. If this is countered, it is what it is. Wish we could have destroyed the Cryogen Relic, but... Alright, Storm Chasers is down. They get to draw 2 here, 1 off the Cryogen Relic going back to their hand, and then they can replay it. Yep, they replay the Cryogen Relic. Looking to dodge the Nightmare. We dodge the Nightmare. Okay. That is good. Let's go. Avengers Disassembled. 3 damage to each creature. Destroy Swamp. Believe they're out of swamps now. They're not out of swamps now. Get in for 4. We have... Their next non-basic is on lock. Okay, so they have 4 swamps. I think we knew that from last game. So 4 swamps. At least 3 islands. The deck I looked at had 7 islands. So we're a ways away from completely running them out of basics. But at this point, we're just trying to tempo them out. But they have 5 cards in hand. We're top decking. Quarry Mountain Monastery is probably our best draw, or a Legend of Roku. All right, they get to draw 2 here. Odds that they find a way to answer this Hellkite are going up. They draw Hopeless Nightmare, that less annoying when we're empty-handed. Opponent replays the Cryogen Relic. Draws another card. Do they find a Fatal Push? No Fatal Push. And we will go after the Eye of the High Tyrant. Sorry, Hive of the Eye Tyrant. We still have 3 basics left in our deck. Oh. Oh, wow. Opponent failed to find? Is that okay? Whoa, 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 whoa. That changes things. Opponent has failed to find. So we are going after swamps now. We might be able to cut them off black. We have a lot of draws here that cut them off black mana. Erode is not one of them. But this is just 1 white, destroy target creature. Now, can hit a Yorion. We're not going to target our own Hellkite with Erode. Okay, opponent puts a stun counter onto the Hellkite. Draws another card. Okay, if they thought seize... Are we destroying our Hellkite here? I think so. No, they can take Erode. Opponent goes to 6. This just forces them to have to find another answer to the Hellkite. All right, we draw a Price of Freedom. Go after the swamp here. Because if by going after swamp here, any of our Field of Ruin or Demolition fields are able to hit this underground river. Okay, we draw Legend of Roku. Play the Legend of Roku. Spell Pierce would be brutal here. Oh, Annul. Okay, no way to play against Annul. Notably, our opponent's black mana does cost them a life. So if they tap for black mana, it needs to be a way to destroy the Magmatic Hellkite. All right, opponent has an Otawara. They replay Storm Chaser's talent and get in for 2. Make another Otter. Okay, we draw Demolition Field. Let's get in for 4. Assuming they chump block with Fear of Isolation here. Opponent chump blocks with Fear of Isolation. Play Demolition Field, and they don't have enough mana to scry with Hopeless Nightmare, so go after the Underground River. Opponent has a Nowhere to Run to answer our Magmatic Hellkite. All right. We will get... Doesn't matter. Get a basic Plains. Opponent's out of black mana. We're out of creatures. Do they draw some non-creature spells to give these Otters prowess? We have a lot of good draws. Avengers Disassembled. We have 2 Avengers Disassembled left in the deck. Flashback does it. Opponent gets in for 4. Sunken Citadel does not do it. Play Sunken Citadel. Pass a turn. What a brutal time to flood out here. If they have 1 more non-creature spell, we're dead. Opponent has a Nowhere to Run. Wow. I thought we had that one. A little bit brutal to lose that one after a pretty strong opening. We just flooded out very hard. Let's go Seam Rip in 1 Beza out. I don't know. I think I like the Beza. Seam Rip in... Maybe Erode is the worst. Yeah, we can go down to 3 Erodes. Brutal. We're on the play in game number 3 here. So they are on 4 swamps, 3 islands. Wow, we have triple Avengers disassembled plus Fing Fang Foom. Sure, we'll keep this. We are now playing Avengers Superhero Tribal. And opponent mulligans to 6 and concedes. And we are going to be mulliganing a 1 plains hand. All right, this hand is way better. We will put back... Oh, man. How greedy is it to put back plains here? Let's put back a road. No, or... Yeah, let's put back a road. Oh, I want to put the plains back, but... I think it's close to tier 1 at least. Yeah, I think it's one of those decks that could be tier 1, but oh, okay. Definitely it can definitely compete. Oh, okay. But if like people want to like beat it and then they start like running more basics, it can be a little bit rough. Cuz I think after like the 5th basic, it gets really hard to like reasonably destroy all of them. All right, we draw Corey for turn. Let's just play Field of Ruin and pass. Leave up Lightning Helix and leave up Field of Ruin. Don't play into a super obvious it'll quench ya. Opponent plays Consider, Mills, and Opt. This is potentially Phoenix. Oh, they cast a Stormwing entity. Cool. Very cool. Opponent goes with a double scry to the top, so we will cast a Field of Ruin and shuffle those away. Get a mountain. Opponent gets an island. Well, so now Lightning Helix isn't really castable. So let's go to our turn. Go Field of Ruin. No, let's go Avengers Disassembled. This will survive a turn, right? And even if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. All right, come on. Fin Fang Foom, you can survive a turn, I believe. Oh no, they're already hovering it. Hopefully that's just to read it because they've never seen the card before. If this survives, we get to have a crazy turn next turn. Come on, opponent, just play your Monastery Swift Spears. All right, they play Stormcarved Coast, and they pass. All right, well, we will start off with an Avengers Disassembled. Choose both options, destroy. Let's go after 1 island, 1 Stormcarved Coast. Oh, okay, we're against this deck again. Opponent flashes in an Eddy Merc Crab to get killed by the Avengers Disassembled. Not sure I agree with that line, but sure. And then, all right, I think we just win here. Opponent concedes, yeah. They should have waited on the Eddy Merc Crab. I don't think it would have mattered because we just get to follow up by blowing up 2 more lands there. But I remember we've played against this deck before. Very cool, using like Stormwing Entity. They probably have green mana in their deck. The last time we played against it, they were on green mana for Up the Beanstalk. Let's go Rest in Pieces in, Flashbacks out, 1 Ultima in, 2 Ultimas in, one fiery impulse out because it does get shut off by the rest in peace. Potentially one Beza in for second fiery impulse. Click submit. Yeah, really like our. I think our opponent's deck is really cool. I think Stormwing Entity is an awesome card. I'm not convinced that their version of the deck is better than my version of Spell Elementals. But I like to see some experimentation in Spell Elemental lists. All right, we're keeping a really bad 6, but hoping to draw into something to do early game. Luckily, their deck isn't. It can be fast. Hoping to avoid like turn 3 Eddie Merc Crabs. Oh, our opponent is on a young Pyromancer pivot. All right, keep playing Sacred Foundries tapped. I've moved off of Traumatic Critique in all of my lists. Interesting to see our opponent is on it. All right, they go top with an opt. Yeah, Oh. That's a good draw. They're super obviously leaving up a counterspell here. But I don't think we have a choice. So let's try to cast this Avengers Disassemble. This is likely getting countered. Yep, opponent has a Spell Pierce. But they would have Spell Pierced the Ultima in 2 turns anyway, so. They have another opt. Yeah, we are. Ooh. Very interesting young Pyromancer pivot from them to dodge Graveyard Hate. I do like it. All right, they go top with an opt. We're getting hit for 5 this turn. They play an untapped land. They cast a Slow State. We're going to see if this Magmatic Hellkite can hold the fort down. They're thinking on this Slow State. If they get in for 5, we go to 13. We draw Price of Freedom. Play Mountain. Play Magmatic Hellkite. Magmatic Hellkite resolves. Go after Steam Vents. Pass the turn. If they don't have any removal for this Magmatic Hellkite, we're able to block the young Pyromancer. Opponent has an Eddie Merc Crab. Does that kill us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We go to 2. So we're going to 2. We're dead to another Eddie Merc Crab. Opponent casts a Hearth Elemental. All right, let's see if they have. We're dead to another Eddie Merc Crab. We're dead to another counterspell. Rest in peace, right on time. All right, cast Ultima. Actually, sorry, we're not dead to another Eddie Merc Crab, but we are dead to counterspell. Should have gotten in for 4 here. That was a misplay. Opponent has a Fading Hope. We don't. Oh, wow. Okay, we draw in a road. So we cast Rest in. So we have 5 mana. We use 3 mana to blow up Steam Vents. Then we have 3 mana left over. That is enough to cast Rest in Peace plus Erode. Okay, so Field of Ruin, They didn't have Spell Pierce last turn, so we're not going to play around Spell Pierce. Opponent floats a blue. Get a plains. Get rid of the blue. Cast Rest in Peace. They will cast this Eddie Merc Crab in response. Eddie Merc Crab comes down. Taps nothing. Let Rest in Peace resolve. So now, like, second Eddie Merc Crab can't be cast. Cast this Erode. Do they have a Spell Pierce? They're... Okay, they Prismari Charm the Eddie Merc Crab. But that's fine. They're 2 lands away. All right, they have a Stormwing Entity. All right, we have 2 draws to answer this. They scry 2. Oh my gosh, we are getting so lucky. Oh, wow. We are so lucky with that top deck Erode. Oh, okay, so blow up Stormwing Entity. Let's see if they're out of islands. Let's go. Okay, they do have another island. Field of Ruin, the Verge. Back-to-back Erodes. I have subscribed to MTG Arena Premium today, that's for sure. And all right, the opponent is out of basics, but let's keep going after red sources for now. Yeah, let's keep going after red sources. We draw Magmatic Hellkite, so that's their last red source. Oh my gosh. I think... All right. Blow up the Shivan Reef. An opponent concedes. Oh my gosh, we got so lucky. Let's go, double Erode. Oh. I never thought they would have stapled land destruction onto a sweeper. All right, we are on the play. This hand is pretty bad, but we have a sweeper, and our curve is all right. We have a lot of draws that make this hand like pretty nuts. All right, and and Sunken Citadel is one of those draws. Play Sunken Citadel on red. Pass the turn. Opponent is on a Temple Garden. So probably green-white Collected Company. Oh no, Llanowar Waste. So this is... Oh, excuse me. This Deep Cavern Bat. I don't know. A long time ago, we played against a Abzan Bat deck, and we got absolutely obliterated by it, so maybe it's that deck again. Would be cool to see it one more time. Opponent does take our Avengers Disassembled, but we top deck a Fiery Impulse. Opponent is in the tank. They play another Deep Cavern Bat. Okay, so let this Deep Cavern Bat resolve. And now we will Field of Ruin. A little bit awkward. Field of Ruin, Mutavault. Oh no, this does give them an extra mana this turn. Got wrecked by one of those bat decks when I first tried out Pioneer. They are deceptively strong. All right, let's Fiery Impulse this Deep Cavern Bat. Get our Avengers Disassembled back. They're probably just going to retake the Avengers Disassembled, but now we have a Fiery Impulse in the graveyard for flashback. So we can cast that to remove one of their creatures. And opponent just takes the Magmatic Hellkite. That's probably smart. And, okay, so this is the Bat deck. They play a Ruin Lurker Bat. They get to scry 1. Well, I kind of want to get revenge on Abzan Bats after how brutally it beat us the last time we played against it. All right, let's go play Field of Ruin, Temple Garden, get a Plains, and then cast this Avengers Disassembled. Get a Plains. Opponent probably has a Plains. Oh no, our opponent's out of basics and they concede. Okay. Well, Abzan Bats with 1 basic shouldn't be too hard for us to overcome. Let's go Seam Rip in for 3rd Legend of Roku and click Submit. I wonder if our opponent just misclicked there, and that's why justice is being served. Man, the last time we played against this Bat deck, like, it was not even close. I think it's a 2-drop or a 3-drop that whenever they gain life, they put a 1/1 counter on everything. And then they were just gaining like 3 instances of 1 life a turn. Oh man, it was a very brutal beating. This feels a lot better. This hand, we have 2 colorless sources, so we're going to have to mulligan that. All right. This is a 6, but it has no castable spells, so we're going to 5. Okay. This 5 is also horrible, but we have to keep it because it's a 5. We can put back a Price of Freedom because, well, keep the Price of Freedom because it can target artifacts. We'll put back the Cleansing Wildfire because we have 3 Field of Ruin effects. But this is a disaster. All right, opponent will... Doesn't really matter what they take. They take the Fiery Impulse. Oh man, we draw basic Plains. We really would have liked to draw basic Mountain there. Opponent, Deep Cavern Bats our Price of Freedom. Well, doesn't matter what we drew now. That is probably our best draw, but I think we're going to be way too slow to ever cast that. We need to top deck a red source this turn. Opponent has a Prosperous Innkeeper. Yeah, I think we have an Essence Channeler. What does this do? As long as you've lost life this turn, this creature has Flying and Vigilance. Okay, and it's a Johnny's... What is that called? Oh my gosh, a Johnny's Pride Mate. And yeah, I think we had 1 turn to draw a red source. We did not. I think we're just dead. Because they're going to gain a life this turn. This Essence Channeler will be 4 toughness. Looks like we'll be settling this in game number 3. All right, opponent plays another bat. They get the Essence Channeler out of Avengers Disassembled range. They have another Ruin Lurker bat, so we're taking 6, 7, 8 damage this turn. And what is their last card? Last card is a Thoughtseize, so they can take 1 of the Avengers Disassembled. Okay, so we have to top deck exactly red source this turn. And so it has to be red source this turn into erode the following turn to kill the Essence Channeler. We are not technically dead. Okay, that kills us because we are dead on board. There's nothing we can... Well, actually, drawing what? Exactly erode means we technically stay alive for another turn. All right, go after Swamp. Do we draw exactly erode? We draw Flashback, no erode in the graveyard. Game 3. All right, let's not mulligan to 5 this time. Any changes on the sideboard? Don't think so. Let's just click submit and we'll get a keepable hand this time. I wonder if this is the same person as before playing this Abzan Bat deck. They have the Chocobo. The Chocobo does feel like what a Bat player would be playing. And the last time they were high up in Mythic, so... Wouldn't surprise... Oh my gosh. Why? Click mulligan. Opponent is also on a mulligan to 6. We will keep this, put back a Sunken Citadel. And we'll start off by Sunken Citadeling on red. Pass the turn. With our opponent also on a mulligan to 6, I feel a lot better with where we're at. Let's just get this second Sunken Citadel down on... I don't think we need double white this game. But we have a lot of red. We'll play one on white, just in case. Leave up this Fiery Impulse. Opponent plays a Mutavault and a Prosperous Innkeeper. That is Fiery Impulsable. And we draw Seam Rip. I want to get a 2-for-1. Potentially should not have Fiery Impulsed and just taken the 2-for-1 with our Avengers disassembled. Let's go Sacred Foundry tapped. Pass the turn. Leave up erode. Would love for them to double spell here. See what they have. We drew the Quarry Mountain Monastery. We have double Sunken Citadel. I really like this combo, so we only have to tap 2 lands to activate this, and should be able to outgrind what they're doing if we get enough turns of untapping with the Quarry Mountain Monastery. Opponent plays a Mana Confluence. All right, what is this? At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into... Oh, okay. I did not realize that Dark Confidant was... This is just actual Dark Confidant with Offspring. That's kind of crazy. All right, we get to Avengers Disassembled, though. So play Quarry Mountain Monastery. Cast Avengers Disassembled. Yeah, this is very cool artwork, too. Blow up the Mutavault. Kill their guys. They get their 1 basic swamp. But a nice little 1.5 for 1. Oh, they have their basic swamp in their hand. Very unlucky for them. They play their basic swamp, and what's their follow-up? They have another Prosperous Innkeeper. Let that resolve. They have a Ruin Lurker Bat. We will destroy the Ruin. Well, have they descended? Each time a permanent card is put into the graveyard. Yeah, I like Offspring a lot too. So yeah, so they don't get to descend here. Let's just start getting value with our Quarry Mountain Monastery. Neither of these are big threats. Okay, we find a demolition field. Play the demolition field, pass the turn. Leave up in a road. None of these 1/1s are threats here. Yeah, I think Offspring is cool. Okay, this is the guy. Whatever you gain life, put a 1/1 on each sector. Do they? So they're gaining a life here. Erode this boy. All right, they gain a life. We're gonna take 2 here, but not a problem. They have another multiversal passage. They do get to descend. They descend to the top. All right, that should wrap this one up. So let's go Demolition Field, Ruin the Scry, take out the Mana Confluence, grab a basic Mountain, and cast an Avengers Disassembled. Tap this. Choose both. Oh man, this card. What were they? This card's so crazy. All right, Avengers Disassembled. Kill their creatures. Blow up a land. Play a land tapped. Leave up Fiery Impulse and pass the turn. Notably, they have a treasure. Does this say okay? Whenever it enters or attacks, so kill this, and now we are just grinding with our Quarry Mountain Monastery. Activate this. We find another Quarry Mountain. Let's blow up their Universal Passage. Yeah, you know, I'm not usually a Ponza player, but when Wizards just gives us a way to blow up every single land and draw cards while we're doing it, you almost have to do it.